Hello friends, welcome back to Digitalk. And in the first session of Kubernetes, I have explained about some basic concepts of Kubernetes. What is Kubernetes and what it does and what is the relation with the containers. Okay, and along with that, we have discussed about some features of the Kubernetes. What are the different features of that? Right. So now if you wanted to be an expert of Kubernetes, then stay with me. Okay, follow all the lectures. So this is the second lecture. Okay, and what I'm going to cover in this session that I will tell you. But before that, I would like to inform you that there are certain key concepts and core components in the Kubernetes that you should be aware about that one. Okay, so if you wanted to be a Kubernetes expert, so you should aware about the core component of the Kubernetes. What are the functions of that one? Okay, and then the key concept. There are a lot of key concept in the Kubernetes. Okay, so on screen you can see there are six core components and around 15 key concepts are there in the Kubernetes. Right. So I'm going to explain all these in a different sessions one by one. Okay. And most of them I will going to explain with the practical explanations as well, sessions as well. Okay. With the executions. Okay. Along with that, the demo course is also will get launched soon. Okay. So once it is released, it will be published to all. Okay. And for that, you can go to the digitalksystems.com website and then you can look for the details of the course as well. Okay. You will get the information when it is launched. Right. So now in this session, I'm going to cover one of the interesting area of the Kubernetes, which is called Horizontal Pod Autoscaler, HPA. Okay. So what is HPA? We discussed in the initial session what exactly it is. So I will give you an overview in this session as well. And then practically I will show you how it works. Okay. So this is very interesting concept and interesting topic in the Kubernetes. Okay. So let me first give you some idea of that again, what exactly it is. Okay, so there are different lot of slides, so that I'm going to cover one by one in the multiple lectures. So in this session, I'm going to specifically go cover the HPA. Let me first explain you what is HPA, and then I will show you practically as well. I have the local setup in my system, so I will execute the command and I will show you the HPA practically. Okay, so HPA is automatically scale the number of pod replicas in a deployment. Replica set and stateful set based on CPU utilization, memory uses, or custom matrices. What happens is that so it is an option to auto scale your environment. Okay, and that means the number of pod replicas in a deployment. So what we have learned about pod is a collection of containers. So in the Kubernetes, we have a grouping of containers. Okay, in pod. So whenever you listen or whenever you heard about the pod, okay, you can understand that pod is a multi group of multiple containers. That is, inside a single pod, there could be one container or there could be multiple containers. Okay, now replica means this is how many pods are running there. So there could be one pod, there could be two pod, there could be more than two, three, four, five, n number of multiple pod based on the horizontal scaling and your hardware infrastructure, right? And each pod will be a combination of multiple containers, right? So in Kubernetes, when we talk about the HPA, okay, so when we configure the Kubernetes environment, there could be a n number of pod. For example, if I'm doing a setup for my production applications and I am suspecting that, or maybe I have done certain kind of a load performance testing, and based on that, we have derived a figure that where we need around 10 pod for our production applications, right? So we have configured 10 pods and maybe each pod may have a two or three or four containers. So that means if one pod is of contain four containers and I have a 10 pod, that means total I have a 40 containers, okay, which is there inside the 10 pods, right? So now that is the total number of pods and containers. And suppose that I have a web application is running, right? So today I have scaled my environment considering the load of around 50,000 of users. Okay, and in the future maybe the user base get increased. So in that case you need to scale your environment, right? You need to scale your hardware, you need to scale your application, right? So if my applications are running in the pods, that means I need to scale the number of pods. So today I have configured with the 10 number of pods. In future maybe I need to increase 3, 4, 5, or 6 pod horizontally, right? So in that case, what happens is that Kubernetes have a feature which is called HPA, okay, which automatically sends the load of your application based on the matrices that we set. And according to that matrices, it auto scale your environment. So it can scale up the environment by increasing the number of pod, or it can scale down the environment, right? So it could be possible that whenever there could be a chance that then in out of 30 days, or you can say out of a month, in a 1 month of period of time, I can expecting only 7 or 8 days when the load in my application would be very high, and rest of the time it will be normal. So that means for that particular moment, when I have a high load in my system, I need the higher number of pods, and rest of the time I need less number of pods. So based on this kind of a requirement, you can configure the HPA, and based on the matrices that you will set, it will automatically scale up your pod, or it will automatically scale up your pods wherever the requirement is need. Okay. So now, so this is the same thing. Suppose that you have a Kubernetes and you have six containers as of now. Okay, okay, and tomorrow some load in your application get increased. Okay, that time you can scale your environment with two more containers, for example. Okay, and if any time you think that the load is very less, then you can scale down your containers automatically to save the cost of your resources. Okay, so this is how HPA works, right? And scale up horizontal pod autoscaler. So how it works exactly? Okay, so basically what happens is that whenever we create a deployment in Kubernetes, so that means whenever we're creating a deployment, that means we are creating a specific number of replicas, or you can say the specific number of pods in the Kubernetes. Okay, so in this screen you can see there is a YAML file. Okay, because in all the configurations in the Kubernetes we do in the YAML file. Okay, where we define the different configurations and then we run certain commands, okay, which get executed and do the configuration of your resources. So now this is specifically a YAML command which create a deployment, and inside that we can see that the replicas is one, right? So replicas one, that means it will create only one pod. How many replicas you need? Okay, so there will be only one pod because the replicas is one. Okay, and then after that we have a label which is called the nginx. So I'm going to create an nginx image, right? And so I have given the name as Nginx. Okay, and the image also Nginx, because I am going to pull the Nginx image, and based on that I am going to create this particular deployment where I will have only one pod, right? And important configuration when we talk about the HPA. So here in the request column you can see that we have given the CPU 100M and CPU limit 200M. Okay, so CPU 100M we have defined inside the request, and CPU 200M is defined inside the limit. Okay, so this is the limit of the CPU time each container, or you can say each pod, can get in the deployment. Okay, so that means if I'm saying CPU 200M, which is limit, so this is the maximum amount of time of a particular CPU time that your container or your pod will get at a moment. Okay, it will not go beyond that one. Okay, it is used to do certain kind of restrictions on your pod. Okay, so that it should not take the unlimited number of resources from your system. Okay, and the CPU time, what is the CPU time that is allowed for that particular pod or for that particular container which is running inside the pod. So, okay, so now to apply this deployment, to run this deployment so that the pod get configured, okay, we run the command kubectl apply -s and the name of your YAML file. Okay, once you will run this, then your pod and your deployment will get created. Okay, now if you would like to configure the HPA for this one, okay, for example, if you're expecting that as of now I have configured only one pod with the configuration of replicas one, and tomorrow I may have a requirement of more than one pod, which can go up to the maximum of five pods, right? So I can run the command kubectl autoscale, then deployment and the name of the deployment. So what is the deployment name we have given? That is nginx hyphen deployment in the previous command, right? Because we are going to create this particular HPA for that particular deployment. So I have to give the name of deployment, then hyphen CPU percent, which is 50, minimum one, maximum five. So this minimum one and maximum five is the number of pod. So the minimum, that means what is the minimum number of pod that we are going to retain in this particular deployment. Maximum five means maximum number of pod that we are going to retain in this particular deployment. Okay, so that means up to the five pod, this deployment will get extended whenever the matrices configured met the specific requirement. Okay, now so here you can see that CPU percentage is 50. Okay, so that means if any time the average percentage of the CPU utilization in your particular deployment will go above 50, it will extend your environment and it will create the pod, right? So let me explain you again. So here, if you see that in the request column, we have given the CPU 100M. So this CPU 100M is the maximum CPU time that we are allowing to a pod. Okay. So now, if we have given CPU percentage 50, okay, that means it will take 50% of the 100M milliseconds. Okay, and if the average utilization goes above that one, then it will expand your cluster and it will create few more pods. Okay, so this is how your HPA works, and then how it get reflected. So now you can monitor that with the help of kubectl get HPA-w. Okay, and with that you can monitor that your the deployment and the percentage utilization of the CPU. And if you have configured it 50, and anytime if you will see that the utilization going above 50, after some time few more replicas will get created. Okay, so if I'm saying few more replicas get created, that means it is scaled with few more pods. That means few more new pods are get created in the environment. Okay, so this is the high level of the overview of how HPA works, how we configure it. Okay, and let me quickly show you with the execution as well. Okay, so for execution, what I will do, I will go to this PPT. Okay, so I have a Minikube environment up and running in my system, local system. Okay, so what we will do, we will quickly create the deployment. Okay, and this is the YAML file. And let me see, this file is there. Okay, this is the file. Okay, this is the file and all the YAML specifications which we have discussed in the just some time back. Okay, so let me close this file. And now, first I will apply this YAML file so that my deployment get created. Right, so let me go to the command prompt. Let me run this command. Okay, you can see that deployment created, which you can check as well. You can run the command kubectl and get deployment. Okay, so now we have created the Nginx deployment. So now you can see that Nginx deployment is created. Okay, now you can see that ready is 0 by 1. That means it is not ready as of now. Okay, now you can see that 1 by 1. That means this deployment is up and running. That means inside this particular deployment, I have one pod, right? Because we have given the configurations of only one replica. That means only one pod will get created, right? And if you want to check the specific deployment, then you can run this command as well. Okay, let me take it again. Okay, let me copy it again. Okay. Okay, this is to get a specific deployment. Here we are getting the complete all the deployment that we have in our system or in cluster. Okay, and here you will get the specific deployment. So now you can say one by one is ready. That means the deployment is up and running, and the container inside this is up and running, which is the Nginx container. Right. So this is done. Second is we have to expose this particular deployment as a service. Okay, to access this service from the outside, because whenever we access any of the services that we have deployed in any of our Kubernetes cluster or pods, we have to expose it as a service. Okay, so this is the command which we can use to expose it. So now you can say this is exposed, right? And you can check it as well. Okay, if the service has been created or not. Okay, let me take it again. Kubernetes get SVC. SVC is short form of service. You can write it complete service as well. Okay, now you can see that it is exposed as a service, right? So now our deployment is up and running, where we have one pod with one container by default for the Nginx. Now we want to configure the auto scaling. Okay, so let me run this command which I have just explained some time back to you. So this is the command. Okay, and let me run it. Okay, now you can see that auto scale has been created. Now we have given the CPU percentage 50, right? And if I again go back and if I show you again the YAML file, okay, let me go. So here we have given the CPU 100 milliseconds. Okay, that means if any time the utilization will go above the 50% of that, that means 100, 50% of 100 M, which is 50 M. So anytime the utilization of the CPU will go above 50 M milliseconds, okay, it will automatically scale the pod, right? So let me go back here and let me first show you the current status of this HPA. You can see that this is the deployment. Okay, and this is the reference for that, and as you can see the target what we have given 50%. Okay, and here it is the utilization is 0% of this 50. That means anytime if it will go above 50, it will automatically scale the environment with more pods. So here you can see current replica is 1, right? Then this is the same replica that we have configured in our YAML file. That means only we have one replica or one pod is running in the environment as of now, which we have seen here as well, one by one ready. Right. Now let me go back here Now what I will do, I will to create a load in my this particular pod, Nginx pod, which I have created. Okay, I will create an separate Nginx server to generate the load. Okay, and then from this particular pod, which I am going to generate, I will initiate the multiple request. Okay, to access the application, web page, which is there inside the Nginx deployment container. Okay, so this is going to continuously going to create the load because I'm going to run it loop. So it will increase the load of this particular pod, right? So let me create a dummy pod. Okay, and this we are going to use to generate load in the previous pod. Okay, so now I'm inside this particular pod which I have created. Okay, this is the command that we use to go inside the particular pod. So I have created this particular container with the image of BusyBox. Okay, and now I am inside this particular container. So what I am going to do here, I am going to create the load in the pod that I have created earlier. Okay, so let me take this one. Okay, and this is the service name that we have given earlier. Okay, if you go back and if you see the service that we have created, okay, then it is with the name of Nginx-service, right? So we are going to access this service, and this is the default format. Nginx-service is the service name, then hyphen default, this is the namespace, this is the default namespace, and the service cluster local, this is the default format which service automatically take. Okay, so let me run this one. So now you can see that this is continuously generating the load in my previous container that we have created. It is by default accessing the web page of the Nginx. Okay, because it is in loop, so it is continuously generating the load. So now to monitor it, what we can do, we can again run the HPA command with -w. Okay, so for that I will open the another command prompt, and here I will run the -w. Okay, so now this is continuously generating the load in the previous pod which I have created, right? So here I am monitoring the CPU utilization. It is 0% as of now. Okay, it will automatically check the utilization in its regular interval. Okay, and then after some time you will see that this load is getting increased because I am continuously hitting that particular container with the help of this while loop. Okay, and after some time you will see that this load is getting increased. Now you can see that the utilization of the CPU is 30% and 50% is the baseline then we have set for the replication to create the more replicas. Okay, it is 30% now, and here you can see that it is continuously generating the load in the system, right? And here after some time you will see that the utilization will go cross the 50, and whenever it will cross the 50, after that it will take some time for the initiation. Okay, few minutes, and after that you will see the replica count will get increased. It will automatically create few more replicas based on the HPA that we have created. Let me show you again what is the HPA we have created. So the HPA that we have created is whenever the utilization will go, the average utilization of all the pods will go above 50, it will create few more replicas up to 5, right? So let me go here and let me see. Okay, let us wait for some more time. Now you can see the CPU utilization is around 53%. Okay, so now it is crossed the 50. Now it will take some time to initiate few more replicas. Okay, so as of now you can see we have only one replicas. After some time you will see that we will have two replicas. That means it will create one more pod. Okay, and if you will continue for a longer duration, that means if we continue to generate this load in the pod, okay, then it will be, this count will go up to the maximum of 5. Okay, because the limit that we have given is maximum 5. That means it can create maximum of 5 pod in that case, right? So let us wait and let us wait and watch. Okay, so now you can see that the number of replicas is 2. Okay, so whenever the load went beyond the 50%, after that it takes some time for the initiation of the replicas. Okay, and then when it reached the 56%, it created the 2 replicas. So now that means it shows that our this HPA configuration is working perfectly, which we have just configured. Okay, so if I will continue to run this while loop, which is generating the load, okay, Then after that, this replica will get keep increasing. Okay, as of now it is 2. Sometime after some time it will be 3, then 4, then 5, and then it will stop at, because the maximum number of replica that we have configured is 5. Here you can see that max pod. Okay, this max pod and this minimum pod is the same thing that we have configured here. This is the minimum one and then maximum 5, right? So here this is the minimum number of pod and maximum number of pod. So it can go up to the 5, right? So now I will press Control C. So I have closed the loop. So now what will happen? After that, you can see that the utilization will go down because we have closed the loop. And after some time, when the utilization will go 50%, okay, then after some time, then replica will get again 1. It will automatically scale it down because our the limit is 50%. Okay, so now because the load is going beyond the 50, below the 50, so the replica will also get decreased and the minimum will be only 1. Right. So this is how we configure the HPA in the Kubernetes. Okay, so stay with me. I'm going to post some more interesting videos, okay, specifically on all the topics that we have just discussed. Okay, let me show you again. So one by one, I'm going to cover all these topics. And along with that, the complete end-to-end exercise, along with the complete code, the YAML files, and the complete end-to-end details you can get in the demo course of the Digitalk, which is going to launch in soon. And then for that, you can stay tuned and you can see go to the website, digitalksystems.com.